Chapter 46-65. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Seeing the look on his master's face like a mouse seeing a cat, Duan Lingtian was stunned for a moment, then asked with a wicked smile, "Master, there seems to be some kind of story between you and the second sister of your master." "What's the story?" Feng Qingyang said angrily, "I just think she is old and disrespectful, and I don't want to get too close to her." In the past, he accompanied his Taoist companion more than once to visit relatives in the 13th city of the Western Jin dynasty, outside the boundary. The brothers and sisters are okay, but the second sister is a headache following them all the time. Not at all, I don't have the consciousness to be a light bulb. In the end, he was a little annoyed when he looked at each other. If possible, he really didn't want to see the other party. Of course, it would be impossible for him to express his inner thoughts in front of his disciples. After the destruction of the Nirvana heaven and the collapse of the turbulent space, you appeared directly in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Feng Qingyang changed the subject and asked. He knew that his disciples' family, relatives, and friends were all in the small world inside his body. But in the past, with the destruction of the Nirvana sky and the collapse of the turbulent space, the small world inside the body also disappeared. There was definitely no way to allow those lives to continue. Hidden inside, Duan Lingtian nodded. We appeared in Chuzhou of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. After briefly talking to his master, Duan Lingtian saw people from the Hong mansion coming, led by the ancestor of the Hong family, Hong Dongchuan. But the Hong mansion, the head of the palace, who is also the clan leader, did not come with him. He presumably stayed in the capital. Sit in Hong mansion. Brother Lingtian, is this your master? After Hong Dongchuan came over, he greeted Duan Lingtian with a smile. For those who didn't know, he might have thought that he and Duan Lingtian were old friends for many years because his tone was too familiar and enthusiastic. Brother Hong. Duan Lingtian said hello and then nodded. This is my master, Feng Qingyang. Master, this is Brother Hong from the Hong mansion, and my opponent today, the prison-suppressing sword Hong Dongchuan. Although Feng Qingyang knew who Duan Lingtian's opponent was, she had no idea that his disciple was so familiar with him. From what he had just said to others, it seemed more like he was building momentum and paving the way for his disciple. Then, I'll ask you to call me Brother Hong. Feng Qingyang looked at Hong Dongchuan and greeted with a smile. Of course, no problem. Let's talk about our own things. I'll call you Brother Feng. Hong Dongchuan smiled and nodded. Brother Feng, you are really powerful. You can actually have a disciple as talented and evil as Brother Lingtian. Like me, Hong Dongchuan, I have accepted many disciples in my life, but few of them have achieved success. As soon as Hong Dongchuan said this, 2 of the dozen or so people following behind him looked a little embarrassed, and one person even touched his nose in embarrassment. It was as if they were deeply afraid that others would not know that they were Hong Dongchuan's disciples. I didn't expect it either. Feng Qingyang responded with a smile, not forgetting to show off. Speaking of which, I only accepted such a disciple, and most of the time I just let him go. I didn't expect him to reach this point and still be ahead of me. As soon as these words came out, the scene fell into a brief silence. They were all installed by him. Ahem. Hong Dongchuan coughed twice and felt that he could no longer talk to the other party. Brother Feng, you and I will talk later. Today, I will first learn Brother Lingtian's methods, and then I will entertain you well. Hearing this, Feng Qingyang responded with a smile. When the other people present heard Hong Dongchuan's words, their eyes suddenly lit up. They had already been impatient when Hong Dongchuan arrived. Just when Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan greeted each other, they separated on 2 sides, and the others stayed away, giving them a large space to confront each other. Another group of people came from afar. Seeing the person coming, many people gasped, "They are from the royal family!" Jianglan Divine Kingdom, royal family. However, although many people came from the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, The strongest among those who came were only the two who had entered the 7th level, and none of the top 4 people in the royal family came. Among the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, there are 4 people above the 8th level. 2 of them have entered the 8th level, 1 has entered the 9th level, and 1 is said to have entered the Hedao. I've met Brother Hong. Brother Hong, we are here to cheer you on. The 2 royal family members on the 7th floor greeted Hong Dongchuan with a smile, and their words were quite familiar. I didn't expect you two to come. Brother Lingtian and I are about to start a battle, so I want to introduce you to you now. I will give you a proper introduction after this battle is over. Hong Dongchuan also bowed his hands to the 2 of them and responded with a smile. Easy to say, you are busy. Immediately afterwards, the attention of everyone present was focused on Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan. Most people's breathing stagnated for a moment, waiting for the start of this battle. Duan Lingtian stared at Hong Dongchuan from the air. When Hong Dongquan's face turned serious, he still had a calm expression. He has enough confidence to face another 8th-level Taoist like this. Even looking at the entire world of gods and earth, he doesn't think anyone who has entered the 8th level can be stronger than him, just because he not only comprehended the way of swordsmanship to the 8th level, but also comprehended the way of control and the way of infinity to the 7th level. These are the benefits gained from his fusion of the memories left by old man Wukong. If he were allowed to comprehend it on his own, no matter how good his cultivation resources were and how powerful he was, it would be difficult for him to comprehend the 2nd path to the 7th level, let alone the 3rd level. Zhong Dao also realized the 7th level. At first, he was not clear about this, but layman Teng Yun solved his doubts. Certainly, in this battle with Hong Dongchuan, he had no intention of using all his strength. I just planned to use the method of control additionally. Wow! Suddenly, Hong Dongquan's robe shook, and then with him as the center, it seemed as if the eye of a hurricane appeared. The strong wind swept across, shaking the void, making bursts of dull sounds. This is not the law of wind, and there is no elemental law in this world of gods and earth. This is the effect produced by Hong Dongquan's vast power being released. The power of entering the 8th level cannot be compared with that of entering the 7th level. In the past, the monsters behind the mysterious entrances had only the strength of the 8th level and no elemental laws to rely on. However, they were able to defeat the monsters with only the strength of the 8th level and one of the 10,000 ways they mastered. The most powerful 7th level who has mastered the elemental laws of Dzogchen. Although this is due to the fact that the 10,000 Daos the monster controls is stronger, the higher level of power it controls cannot be underestimated. Boom! With an explosion, the Hong Dongchuan man had disappeared on the spot. As the biting wind blew up, a knife shadow appeared in his hand. It was a virtual shadow at first, then quickly solidified and turned into a giant knife. The next moment, the sword light burst out, roaring out with a terrifying sword path. Not only, at the same time as the sword light flashed out, gusts of dark wind blew up, as if there were ghosts crying and wolves howling, which made people feel horrified when they heard it, as if they were in hell. This is also the second way that Hong Dongchuan has mastered the way of purgatory. Chapter 4666. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. The Tao of Purgatory is also the Tao that Hong Dongchuan is best at besides the Tao of Swords. He has already understood it to the 6th level, and when combined with the Tao of Swords, it is very powerful. Buzz. Facing Hong Dongquan's sword light, Duan Lingtian was not afraid at all. He faced him head-on without any intention of letting go, because this was the greatest respect for his opponent. Call out. The sword light roared out, sharp and bright, like streaks in the void crossing the sky. At the same time, the sword light seemed to be dragged by an invisible hand in the void, killing him at a faster speed, and met Hong Dongquan's sword light. He was fearless and wanted to confront him head-on. Boom! The brief exchange bloomed with dazzling brilliance and also extended an extremely terrifying power storm, raging towards the surroundings. Hong Dongquin's clothes shook and he stepped back. Duan Lingtian also took 2 steps back. As for the group of onlookers, except for those above the 7th level who were still standing there watching, those below the 7th level were forced to retreat continuously. Those who only had the strength of the 1st and 2nd levels were almost thrown out. Go! Boom! There was another loud noise, and after a tentative blow at each other, Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan separated again and faced off again. Duan Lingshan's face was calm and his eyes were a little more serious. On the other hand, Hong Dongquin's face was tense and his eyes were solemn. At this moment, everyone onlookers could not help but marvel. What a powerful force! Is this a duel at the 8th level? Too strong. Senior Hong Dongchuan, an 8th level expert who has been famous in Zhonglan Divine Kingdom for many years. It is recognized that he is invincible below the 9th level. Even the 2 8th level members of the royal family are not as good as senior Hong Dongchuan when fighting alone. Opponent. Yes, in our Zhonglan Divine Kingdom, only the 2 beings from the royal family who have entered the 9th level and above can surely defeat Master Hong Dongchuan. In the meantime, he didn't actually gain the upper hand. It's really shocking. This anti-sword Duan Lingtian from Chuzhou seems to have a lot of tricks. The people participating in the discussion now are basically people from the lowest level of the Dao, above the 4th level, especially those from the 7th level who are present. Except for Feng Qingyang, who knows Duan Lingshan's in details. The rest of them have shown their faces at this time. He stared at Duan Lingtian with a solemn expression. They could see that in the brief trial just now, this one had the upper hand, while Hong Dongchuan was at a disadvantage. Ha, so happy! Hong Dongchuan laughed, and his face turned slightly red. Brother Lingtian, I haven't made such a heartfelt move for a long time. You are very strong. Next, I will show off my ability to beat the enemy. Don't hold anything back. As soon as he finished speaking, Hong Dongquin's strength surged. Even his body seemed to be a little stronger at this moment. The sense of oppression emanating from his body became even stronger, making the weaker onlookers stronger. Everyone has a slight feeling of suffocation feel. Brother Hong, since you said so, I'll wait and see. Duan Lingtian also smiled, and the indifference on his face softened a bit at this time, becoming slightly more solemn. The sword energy around his body was everywhere. The sword path was ethereal, and the way of control followed him like a shadow, as if he had everything under control in the palm of his hand. Boom! There was another earth-shaking loud noise, but Hong Dongquin's strength surged and turned into a huge and incomparable sword of the sky, roaring out at Duan Lingtian. The sharp sword energy cut the air, and the momentum was loud, vast and astonishing. Seeing this, Duan Lingtian also turned into a sword with his body. A huge sword came out across the sky and wandered through the void. It was like the birth sword of a terrifying swordsman from the ancient times. It bloomed with a frightening cold light, giving the crowd a chilling look. Everyone it brings fear from the heart, and this fear continues to grow. That's right. This time, Duan Lingtian also secretly activated the Infinite Way. All 3 come out at once. However, there are still some reservations, giving the impression that the Infinite Way has been understood to the 6th level. In fact, his infinite path is already at the 7th level. With almost all his strength, Duan Lingshan's strength was enough to crush Hong Dongchuan. Therefore, with the explosion of this attack, a large area at the top of Qingtian Peak was covered by sword and knife light, and then was shoveled away. Half done. Ground mountains collapsed, wild animals fled, and thick dust rose everywhere. However, it did not affect the group of onlookers standing above Qingtian Peak, let alone today's 2 protagonists. Boom! Boom! The giant sword and the giant knife intersected together, and the onlookers felt that their eyes were shrouded in a bright light. It was the intersection of 2 powerful forces, and the extended light of power made them unable to see clearly inside for a short time. So what happened? There are also brave people who extend their spiritual thoughts, but are crushed in a blink of an eye. Their souls are injured, their faces are pale, and even worse, their 7 orifices are bleeding and their bodies are crumbling. This storm came and went away quickly. In the blink of an eye, the light that affected the vision disappeared, and 2 figures appeared in front of everyone. But I saw that Duan Lingtian was unscathed. On the other hand, Hong Dongquin's robes were torn. His face was pale, his mouth was bleeding, his eyes were filled with horror, and his face was filled with astonishment. It took him a moment to come to his senses, and he raised his hands to Duan Lingtian. Brother Lingtian, I thought I had already looked down upon him. Now it seems that I still underestimated you before. I really didn't expect it. With that blow just now, he knew that Duan Lingtian had held back. In fact, the reason why there was not too much power aftermath that affected the onlookers was because Duan Lingtian took action to suppress the power aftermath. Of course, Duan Lingtian is not a holy mother, and he cannot care about the lives of those who are watching the excitement. However, among those watching the excitement, there were also his 2 wives, and he naturally did not want to affect them too much. His master was enough to help protect his 2 wives in the test attack just now, but in the decisive blow later, his master may not be able to protect the 2 of them. He had to step in to relieve the worries. This is Lord Hong Dongchuan. Have you lost? Unlike the high-level people present who had witnessed the tentative confrontation just now, they had already vaguely guessed the outcome of this duel. Most of the people who entered the lower level were stunned by the scene in front of them. Hong Dongchuan, the famous and powerful man of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, who was considered by many to be the 3rd strongest person in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, actually lost? He was defeated by a new rising star from Chuzhou. He is a prison sword. How could he be defeated by an unknown person in the past? Not far away, Feng Qingyang looked at the scene in front of him with a hint of bitterness on his lips. It seems that even if he breaks through, there is still a long way to go between him and his disciple. Chapter 46-67. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Hong Dongquin's defeat shocked the entire audience. Except for a few strong people who could vaguely see the end from the test blow just now, most people still had no idea. So they were all very shocked. As the person involved, Hong Dongchuan knew that he might lose, but he never expected that he would lose so politely and miserably. At least for him, it was miserable. He originally thought that even if Duan Lingtian defeated him, he would still be slightly better, because according to his guess, Duan Lingtian had only mastered the 8th level of swordsmanship and had surpassed him in another way, reaching the 7th level. But he didn't expect that, in addition to this, Duan Lingtian also understood the 3rd level of Tao. Shock him. Of course, he didn't know that Duan Lingtian's 3rd path was also the 7th level, but it was just a secret that gave him this feeling. But even so, he was still crushed, defeated without any temper. Brother Lingtian, you hit it too deep. Hong Dongchuan sighed for a while, and then introduced the 2 7th-level members of the royal family to Duan Lingtian. Originally, he planned to directly invite Duan Lingtian to bring his master back to Hong Mansion as a guest. But I didn't expect that the royal family sent a message to let him introduce. Even they were surprised by Duan Lingtian's power. They did not expect that such a person would appear quietly in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and they all thought that they must report it to their superiors after returning. If he could be brought into the royal family to make sacrifices, it would undoubtedly be even more powerful for the royal family. Lord Duan Lingtian. The attitude of the 2 of them was very low. You must know that when they were outside, even if they were ordinary 8th-level disciples who were better than them, they would never be like this. They were just a little more polite. Now, in their eyes, Duan Lingtian is not an ordinary 8th-level Taoist. Duan Lingtian also responded politely. After greeting each other, Duan Linkai took his wife, master, and Zhaoani and left with Hong Dongchuan. The layman Ting Yin from Shuiyun's sect in Chuzhou naturally followed behind. For him, if someone didn't take him as a guest in a place like Hong Mansion, with his strength and status, even if he went there, not to mention Hong Dongchuan, the ancestor of Hong Mansion, even if he was the head of Hong Mansion, he would not be able to go there. Not necessarily Noodle. After learning from Duan Lingtian that layman Tingyun had helped Duan Lingtian in the past, Hong Dongchuan also chatted with him a few words and praised him for his sharp eyesight, which made layman Tingyun extremely excited. He was like an old naughty boy who had no trace of his past in Shuiyun's sect. The serious posture in front of the doorman. When Duan Lingtian went to Hong Mansion as a guest, the result of today's battle at Qingtian Peak spread quickly as the spectators left. In the nearest capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, all gossip was suppressed for a while, and all topics began to revolve around the just concluded battle at Qingtian Peak. Because my strength was too low, I felt that I wouldn't be able to see anything when I arrived at the scene. I might even be seriously injured or even killed by the residual power of the power, so I didn't go. However, this result still scared me. The man from Chu Duan Lingtian, the state's anti-god sword, actually won. What? It's not Senior Hong Dongchuan who wins? Who is Duan Lingtian? His strength is so terrifying that even the prison-suppressing sword was defeated by him. After this battle, the anti-god sword Duan Lingtian will be famous in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom and even the surrounding areas. I heard that he challenged Hong Dongchuan just to become famous. He is from the creation world, and he became famous so that his family and friends who are living abroad can come to him as soon as possible after receiving news from him. People who create the birth chart world, aren't the lives in the creation birth chart the source of power kept captive by the owner of the creation birth chart? As long as the time is right, you can rely on the life in the creation birth chart to walk in life. The way of sacrifice. I really didn't expect that such a powerful person could appear in the world of creation life chart. Regarding Duan Lingshan's purpose, the Hong Mansion naturally helped to publicize it because the Hong Mansion knew Duan Lingshan's purpose of becoming famous, and after getting Duan Lingshan's permission, it also publicized it. In this way, even if Duan Lingshan's relatives and friends are not nearby, someone will enthusiastically bring the news out. If they can help Duan Lingtian find his relatives and friends, wouldn't it be possible to get on the line with Duan Lingtian or even make friends? The current Duan Lingtian is no longer the #1 strongman in Chuzhou with low gold content within the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. He has now truly stood up after defeating Hong Dongchuan, an 8th level master of the Hong Mansion, River the first echelon of Lan Shin Kingdom. It won't be long before the reputation of Duan Lingtian, his anti-god sword, will be spread in every corner of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. And all this is what Duan Lingtian is happy to see. Duan Lingtian and his party stayed in Hong Mansion for a few days before gradually leaving. Duan Lingtian took his 2 wives, his master Feng Qingyang and layman Tingyin, and left the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Jiangzhou, and returned to Chuzhou. He planned to go to Chuzhou, settle down his 2 wives, and then go to the endless sword domain with his master Feng Qingyang. It's not convenient to take 2 wives with you there. According to his master, with his master's strength, he dare not go deep into some places, but inside it can indeed enhance his understanding of the sword, and this is what Duan Lingtian urgently needs at the moment. Although he has integrated all the memories of Old Man Mukong, including the 9th level of swordsmanship, when he obtained the memory of Old Man Mukong, he was not a blank sheet after all. He had already stepped out of his own swordsmanship and was unable to comprehend and control it. The road, the infinite road, is also smooth and smooth. He needs to master it and find his own way before he can hope to reach the 9th level of swordsmanship. He has now encountered a bottleneck. The memory of the Old Man Wukong is of little help to him in terms of swordsmanship. He must either slowly comprehend the swordsmanship himself and achieve further improvement, or else he needs to have other skills. It's opportunity. Hearing his master mention the endless sword domain, which is also known as the holy land for sword cultivators in the world of gods and earth, he naturally wanted to go and see it. Now, in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, with the end of his battle with Hong Dongchuan, he knows that his purpose has been achieved. As long as his family, relatives, and friends are in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and even the surrounding areas, as long as they are not in the news in a particularly close place, the message will definitely be received. When the time comes, they will naturally go to Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Duan Mansion in Chuzhou City to seek refuge with him. Sir, the city of Chuzhou is ahead. Duan Lingtian and his party returned to Chuzhou. Instead of flying by themselves, they sat on Master Tenjian's mount, a huge crane. This was also a crane that had entered the Taoist realm. It's just a bird, and with great strength, extremely fast. After hearing what Master Tingyun said, Duan Lingtian, Kir, and Huaner were fine. But Feng Qingyang said to Duan Lingtian with a wry smile, "Xiao Tian, I want to see your second sister. Please go back and have a good time with your family. Gather, find me when you're about to leave. Ting Yin and I will return to Shuiyun's sect." As soon as Feng Qingyang said these words, Duan Lingtian was startled, but layman Ting Yin was overjoyed. Shuiyun's sect welcomed Senior Feng Qingyang to come and give guidance. He never expected that this giant Buddha would be interested in going to their Shuiyun sect. This was undoubtedly a great joy for their Shuiyun sect. If it were spread a little bit, everyone would feel that the master and disciple of Shuiyun sect and Duan Lingtian are very close. Chapter 4668. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Seeing that Master Feng Qingyang was afraid of his second sister, Yu Xiao, as if he was afraid of a savage beast, Duan Lingtian became even more curious, and the fire of gossip in his heart couldn't help but burn brightly. "Master, what's the situation between you and that person?" Duan Lingtian asked curiously. Feng Qingyang glared at him angrily. "Children should stop asking about adults' matters. Ting Yin, after sending my disciple and my 2 disciples and wives outside Chuzhou City, you take me to Shuiyun sect." After Feng Qingyang finished speaking, he said to layman Ting Yin, who responded with yes excitedly, "Master, even if you don't let me tell you, Uncle Xiao will probably know about the gathering of master and disciple from other people, right? Now, there must be people from the original world and outside the world who know about this. People from the land went to Chuzhou, Duanfu in Zhoucheng has taken refuge with me. As long as they mention the reunion of you and me, it will be difficult for Uncle Yu, Xiao, not to know about it." Duan Lingtian said helplessly. He didn't want Master Yu Xiao to know about this matter afterwards. His master thought he was the one who leaked the secret. "As long as you don't tell her that I'm in Shuiyun sect." Feng Qingyang shook her head and said, "Only a few of us know about my going to Shuiyun sect. If you don't tell her, she won't know. After you finish what you are doing, come to Shuiyun sect to find me, and we will set off for the endless sword domain immediately. There is a paradise for our sword cultivators. When you go there, you will definitely feel that your trip is worthwhile." Hearing his master's words, Duan Lingtian naturally became more curious about the endless sword realm, thinking about going back to make arrangements this time. How Kir and Huaner reunited with their other 2 wives and parents for a few days, and then went to Shuiyun sect to find their master, leaving Jianglan Divine Kingdom and heading to the endless sword domain. Soon, Duan Lingtian and his party arrived at Chuzhou City. After Master Feng Qingyang left with Master Tingyun, Duan Lingtian took his wife back to the Duan mansion. Not long after entering Duan's residence, when he went to his parents to say hello and tell them that he was back, a figure in his parents' courtyard made Duan Lingtian feel a tremble in his heart. Kir, who was next to him, had already rushed up. Tears of excitement fell down. "Si Ling!" At this moment, in addition to her parents, there was also a young and beautiful woman in the courtyard, Duan Xiling, the daughter of Duan Lingtian and Kir. Duan Lingtian didn't expect to see his daughter when he came back this time. Of course, it was not difficult for him to guess that his battle with Hong Dongchuan must have caused an uproar in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and even the surrounding areas. His daughter Duan Xiling, who was also nearby, heard about it, so she found Chuzhou Prefecture, City Duan Mansion. Mother. Duan Xiling and her mother hugged each other and burst into tears with excitement. At the same time, she looked at Duan Lingtian, who was standing behind her, with a look of surprise in her eyes. Father! Aunt Huan. She was equally excited to see Huaner. Before her mother woke up that year, Huaner had always been by her side to take care of her, and the relationship between the two had always been very good. It's good to come back. This time I come back with your mother and won't leave again. Huaner was smiling, and her tone was full of endearment. Xiling, are you the only one? The excitement on Duan Lingshan's face gradually faded, and he asked with a smile. Last time, when Xuana came, Xiao Jin was with her. Duan Xiling nodded, which made Duan Lingtian slightly disappointed, but overall he was still very happy after all his daughter was found. Tianer, Tianwa's father, has also returned before Xiling. Duan Rafeng said to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingshan's eyes lit up, and he also realized that his approach was correct. His family and friends came back from all over for reunions. I think that as long as he further becomes famous in the world of the gods, all his family and friends will always come back for reunions. In the next few days, Duan Lingtian spent time with his family. As his departure was about to begin, he also wanted to spend a few more days with his family. If I leave this time, I'm afraid it will take a while before I come back. His goal is not only to enter the endless sword domain, but also to further improve his strength and even become famous. He felt that he was still not famous enough. If news about Duan Lingtian spreads throughout the world of God, it will be just around the corner for all the family members and friends who have been exiled to the world of God to gather together. Just when Duan Lingtian was immersed in the happiness of his family, an unexpected guest came to see him. Uncle Yu. Seeing Yu Xiao coming to her door, Duan Lingtian was a little puzzled. Speaking of which, he hadn't seen her yet, since he was not at her residence in Duan Mansion. He went to visit her, but failed. Master Nephew Duan, your master, where is my brother-in-law? Yu Xiao got straight to the point and asked, Did I hear that you were fighting against Hong Dongchuan at Qingtian Peak of Jianglan Divine Kingdom? He was also watching the battle, and I heard that he had also entered the 8th level of the Tao. He didn't follow. Are you coming back together? No. Duan Lingtian had long been prepared to ask Yu Xiao about this, so he shook his head immediately. In this strange world, he is alone like a rootless duckweed. If he doesn't find you, forget it. He has found you. Why didn't he come back with you? Yu Xiao frowned, and there was a hint of disappointment on the cheeks of the slightly immature girl. Master said that he wants to find his wife. Duan Lingtian had already prepared his words, but he responded fluently. Hearing this, Yu Xiao fell silent. After a moment, she said hello to Duan Lingtian and left with a slightly lost and desolate figure. As soon as she left, Feng Tianwu next to Duan Lingtian said in a low voice, Brother Tian, look at this uncle's reaction. She most likely likes the master. Emotionally, women are much more sensitive than men. No way. Duan Lingtian was surprised and his eyes widened. He couldn't believe it at first, but when he thought about his master, who was usually fearless when he mentioned Yu Xiao, he looked like a mouse meets a cat. It looks like it. But I don't think it's complete either. No way. For a moment, he started to gossip in his heart, thinking that when I see master later, I will definitely ask him. Chuzhou City, inside an inn. A bald man sat in the courtyard of a guest room, listening to the report of his subordinates, his brows knitted together. Duan Lingtian, are you back so soon? If Duan Lingtian were here, he would be able to recognize at a glance that this bald man was none other than the top strong man in the 3 realms of the past, the Leihong of the Mingguang realm. He had always regarded him as a hidden danger and was almost killed by him. People. However, after coming to the world of gods and earth, Duan Lingtian subconsciously thought that people like Lei Hong would not miss the opportunity to enter the Babel Tower to improve his strength. He should have died in the Babel Tower and became the new creation horoscope. Major the nourishment of the way of refining life and offering sacrifices. Lei Hong can appear here now, which shows that he was not in the Tower of Babel at that time. Chapter 46-69. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Speaking of which, the reason why Lei Hong appeared in Chuzhou City was because he settled near the Jianglan Divine Kingdom after he was exiled to the Divine Land. With his ability to enter the 7th level, he quickly became famous and gained a group of followers around him. Later, he received news from the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. When he heard the words Reverse Divine, Sword, and Duan Lingtian, he knew that Duan Lingtian was the one he used to be in Wanjie. He regards him as his #1 enemy man of. In fact, he almost died in Duan Lingtian's hands that time. It was only because he had the means to save his life that he managed to escape. After that time, he was still frightened and did not dare to take action easily again. However, it was also after that time that he controlled many people who were against the God realm, as well as people who were friends with Duan Lingtian and belonged to the strongest 7th level and above in the outside world, and paid close attention to Duan Lingtian and those people. Of Rose Trace, the opening of the 3rd entrance to the Tower of Babel would allow high-ranking gods, and even the most powerful people, to quickly increase their strength. To be honest, he was very excited. He dreamed of having stronger strength than Duan Lingtian, and he would step on Duan Lingtian under his feet to kill, because he, Lei Hong, has been in the world for many years, and this is the first time he has suffered such a big loss at the hands of one person. However, it was precisely because he discovered that Duan Lingtian and his friends had no intention of entering the Babel Tower after the 3rd entrance was opened. Although he did not know why, it was because the people he controlled were in their respective power positions. Limited, but with a suspicious mind, he was still vaguely aware of something unusual. In particular, after the 3rd entrance to the Babel Tower appeared in the land of sacred relics, it was suddenly announced that it would be closed, which made him feel that something was not right. Really, after being indirectly reminded by Duan Lingtian, he did not enter the Babel Tower like the others and chose to stay outside to see the situation first. At this glance, I was waiting for the scene of the Tower of Babel being shattered, all realms collapsing, and the turbulent space being annihilated. And he also fell into this world of gods and earth that was particularly strange to him. Speaking of which, I am able to come to the world of the gods alive, thanks to Ling Tian. Lei Hong smiled coldly. He came here after hearing that Duan Lingtian appeared in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and even established a Duan mansion in Chuzhou City. When he heard the news, it was already when Duan Lingtian was about to start the duel with Hong Dongchuan at Qingtian Peak. He came to Chuzhou City with a simple purpose, which was to take advantage of Duan Lingtian's absence to attack the Duan mansion, to avenge Duan Lingtian for not giving him face in the Mingguang realm in the past, and to kill the powerful sect behind him. He even wanted to avenge Duan Lingtian for almost killing him. But he didn't expect that as soon as he arrived in Chuzhou City, he learned that Duan Lingtian had returned from Jiangzhou, where the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom was located. If you can, don't leave again. Otherwise, I will make you regret for the rest of your life that you have offended me, Lei Hong. Lei Hong's eyes flashed with cold light and murderous intent. However, while waiting, 2 days later, Lei Hong learned another piece of news that made him very unhappy. The old man Qing Yun of Qingyun Mansion, who was in Yunzhou, has now come to Duan Mansion? The old man Qing Yun was named Zhao Ani. As soon as he heard the name and the name, he had already guessed that the other party was Zhao Ani, the newly promoted 7th-level powerhouse of the Qingyun holy sect in the land outside the boundary. Probably just a guess. Lei Hong secretly thought, Zhao Ani, in this world of gods and earth, also has the strength to enter the 7th level. Although he is not afraid of the opponent, it is not easy to defeat him. After all, they are both at the 7th level. Of course, if he was still able to use the power of laws in the world before, if he faced Zhao Ani, he would be more than 70% sure to defeat him, because he has a good grasp of the laws and the assistance of the clones of the laws, so he can defeat him. It is not surprising that a place outside the boundary is in the same environment. However, when he came to this world of gods and earth, the lack of laws and the assistance of law clones greatly reduced his strength, and he did not feel that he was still capable of defeating Zhao Ani. This world of gods and earth. Why are there no laws? Thinking of this, Lei Hong is still a little depressed. After all, in the past, he only specialized in one kind of Tao and did not dabble in the second Tao. He focused more on improving the power of multiple laws. If he had known that he would end up living in a world without laws, he would definitely transfer his energy to study the power of laws to the second path. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Before living in the world of God and earth, he didn't know that there was another world of God and earth in the world, let alone the world where he used to live, and even the land outside the realm adjacent to the world of God, were just a name of the world of God and earth. For a new world opened up by the treasure of the creation chart. Zhao Ani came to Duan Mansion, which surprised Duan Lingtian. After all, the two met in Jiangzhou not long ago. Why are you here? Faced with Duan Lingtian's question, Zhao Ani chuckled. Brother Lingtian, it's not that I think your fame is much greater than mine now, which makes me feel that it is better to stay in Qingyun Mansion in Yunzhou. It is not as good as here in Chuzhou City, with your Duanfu hugs each other to keep warm. I'm at Qingyun Mansion over in Yunzhou, and I'm getting ready to move out. My people are on their way here now. From now on, I will take my people to stay in Chuzhou City to be with your Duan family. Over in Yunzhou, I also asked people to spread the news, saying that my Qingyun Mansion will move the entire government to the capital of Chuzhou. In the past, Zhao Ani wanted to set up his own business outside, just to learn from Duan Lingtian and become famous. But now, Duan Lingtian was famous both at home and abroad, making him feel inferior. He felt that instead of slowly developing his reputation there, it would be better to come to Chuzhou and stay with Duan Lingtian's Duan Mansion, and maybe he could more efficiently accept the former youth, a disciple of the Yunqing sect who lives outside. I see. Duan Lingtian suddenly understood, and then mentioned to Zhao Ani that he was planning to leave in the past 2 days. If you come a few days later, you might not be able to see me. Since you are planning to bring Qingyun Mansion to Chuzhou City, I will also introduce you to the usual person in charge of my Duan Mansion. That's one of my uncles. She is my master's wife's second sister. Speaking of which, you are all saints from the land outside the boundary in the past. You may have known each other for a long time. After hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Zhao Ani smiled bitterly and said, You should be talking about the man from the 13th city of the Western Jin dynasty in the land outside the boundary. Is the second city Lord Yushao? I really know that one, and he was once under her command. I suffered a lot of losses. It's her. Duan Lingtian nodded. Since Zhao Ani plans to move to Chuzhou City to take care of his Duan Mansion, he must meet Yushao so that the two can take care of each other in the future. Chapter 4670. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Old man Zhao, you're not dead yet? Duan Lingtian never expected that he would take Zhao Ani to find Yushao. Before he could speak, Yushao's first words were this. Duan Lingtian can't even be punished. Is this uncle of ours so familiar with Zhao Ani? Ahem. Zhao Ani coughed twice and said, Sister Yushao, I'm not too old, so after I come to the world of the gods, even if I can't live forever, my life won't end. I didn't expect to see you, Sister Yushao here. Zhao Enya's tone was obviously filled with fear. This person is not a good person. Back then, when he was still in the land outside the boundary, He entered the realm of saints one step ahead of the other party. Once, when he went to the 13th city of the Western Jin dynasty, he accidentally said the wrong thing and offended the other party. At that time, the other party had no reaction, but he didn't expect that after the opponent also stepped into the realm of saints, he would actually kiss their Qingyun saint sect and threaten to challenge him. Moreover, he was stronger than him because the opponent's bloodline power was extraordinary and far superior to his. That time he was completely tortured. At the same time, I also understood the truth that only women and villains are difficult to raise. After that time, whenever he was in the presence of Yu Shao, he would always be extremely careful about what he said, for fear of inadvertently offending the other party. This seemingly harmless girl holds a very grudge. Old man Zhao, you followed my nephew to come to me. Do you have anything to ask of me? If that's the case, you'd better not say anything. I'm too lazy to help you with your matter. Don't forget that you were a bully at the beginning. Get over me. Yu Shao said with a hum. Hearing this, Duan Lingtian was startled, and then looked at Zhao Ani with a strange look. He really didn't realize that Zhao Ani was still this kind of person. Sensing Duan Lingtian's strange gaze, how could Zhao Ani not guess what Duan Lingtian was thinking? For a moment, I felt so wrong that I almost wanted to cry. I explained repeatedly, Brother Lingtian, don't misunderstand. Sister Yu Shao said that I bullied her. She was talking about the fact that when I went to the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty, I accidentally offended her taboo with my words. It's been a long time since this happened. She has already settled the score with me. He is really helpless and aggrieved. Is this matter not over yet? Thinking back then, the other party beat him until his nose was black and his eyes were swollen, so that he did not dare to show his face for a long time, for fear of being laughed at by people in the sect. Zhao Ani, who was afraid of being misunderstood by Duan Lingtian, sent a message to Duan Lingtian to tell Duan Lingtian in detail about the past incident where he had accidentally become enemies with Yu Shao. After hearing this, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but secretly smack his tongue. This senior uncle is so vindictive. It seems that she cannot be offended. It's not right. I seem to have lied to her before, saying that Master didn't come back with me. If she knew this, wouldn't she also bear his revenge? It seems that we can only make mistakes again and again. She must not be allowed to know. Uncle Yu, Duan Lingtian explained to Yu Shao, Old Zhao and I came here to see you, not to ask you for anything, but because I brought him here. He plans to move his Qingyun mansion to Chuzhou City and take care of each other with our Duan mansion. So, am I just going to bring him here to meet you and say hello to you, so that if you encounter any difficult problems or opponents later, you can work together? After hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Yu Shao's expression softened a bit. In front of Duan Lingtian, she still restrained herself, not wanting to give him too bad an impression. So that's it. Yu Shao nodded. Master Duan, don't worry, even if you are not with the Duan mansion. I will help you keep an eye on the Duan mansion. If you encounter trouble that I can't solve, I will ask Old Man Zhao for help. If Old Man Zhao doesn't try his best, I will never let him go in the future. After talking about it, she gave Zhao Ani a warning look, which made Zhao Ani speechless. The Duan mansion belongs to his brother Ling Tian. How could he not try his best? Don't worry, Sister Yu Shao. I promise to do my best for Duan mansion, just like I did for my Qingyun mansion. Zhao Ani said firmly. I hope you will do what you say. Don't say one thing and do another. Yu Shao snorted coldly, causing Zhao Ani to quickly shake his head and say no. After introducing the two of them, Duan Lingtian stayed with his family for 2 more days before saying goodbye to his family and leaving to go to Shuiyun's sect to find his master. Ready to go? Seeing Duan Lingtian coming, Feng Qingyang knew that his disciple had finished spending time with his family. Well, if Master, you have nothing else to do here, you can leave now. Duan Lingtian nodded. I'm fine, let's leave now. Feng Qingyang also nodded, and then looked at Layman Tingyun aside. Ting Yin, I have troubled you these days. If I have a chance later, I will come and stay in Shuiyun sect again. The environment here is good, and I like it very much. Layman Ting Yin said enthusiastically. Senior Feng, our Shuiyun sect welcomes you as a guest at any time. In the past few days, he has shamelessly asked the other party a lot of doubts about swordsmanship, and feels that he has benefited a lot. He is worthy of being the master of Lord Duan Lingtian, which is indeed extraordinary. Chapter 4671. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Not long after Duan Lingtian left, Lei Hong, who was hiding in Chuzhou City, received the news. However, he was not in a hurry to take action. After all, there is still Zhao Ani here. Zhao Ani will definitely take action to protect Duan Mansion. He is also on the 7th level of Dao. He is really not sure of defeating Zhao Ani now. At most, he will be tied with the opponent, or even slightly at a disadvantage. Maybe. On the way to Chuzhou, he passed through Yinzhou and heard about Zhao Enya's name as Old Man Qingyan. He knew that Zhao Enya's attainments in all aspects were only stronger than his. It's a pity that there are no laws in this world of gods and earth. Otherwise, why would I be afraid of that little Zhao Ani? Lei Hong's face didn't look good. However, seeing that Zhao Ani did not leave day after day, other people from Qingyan Mansion also came to Chuzhou City one after another, and with the help of Duan Mansion and Shuiyun sect, they had a new residence. Only then did Lei Hong realize what Zhao Ani wanted to do. Zhao Ani actually plans to move Qingyan Mansion from Yinzhou to Chuzhou. Lei Hong's expression changed, and he also knew that his idea of waiting for Zhao Ani to leave was probably destined to fail. This Zhao Ani has no intention of leaving Chuzhou City. He plans to stay in Chuzhou City. Zhao Ani will definitely protect Duan Mansion. If he wants to take action, he cannot wait forever. So, on this day, after learning that Zhao Ani had returned to his new residence in Qingyan Mansion, Lei Hong set off, preparing to attack Duan Mansion. He would kill Duan Lingshan's family members and friends who stayed in Duan Mansion as quickly as possible. Any more than one killed would be a loss. Earn it. After the killing is over, dust off your clothes and go. The world of Divine Land is so big that even if Duan Lingtian wants to seek revenge from him, he still has to find him. As for being stronger than Duan Lingtian in the future, Lei Hong has no hope, because Duan Lingshan's talent and understanding make him feel hopeless and powerless. He knew that he would probably never be able to compete head-on with Duan Lingtian in his entire life. The most he could do was make some small moves behind his back, giving Duan Lingtian a headache and even regret offending him. Lei Hong. Boom! In the sky above the Duan Mansion, Lei Hong, who was approaching from hiding, struck out like thunder, aiming directly at Duan Lingshan's parents, the yard where Duan Rafeng and Li Ro lived, intending to kill them. His idea is simple. Duan Lingtian has several wives, and they don't live together. It's difficult to catch them all. But Duan Lingtian only has one parent. Killing them would definitely make Duan Lingtian more heartbroken than killing Duan Lingshan's wife. However, what Lei Hong didn't expect was that as soon as he took action, a force no less powerful than his rose up from the air in the Duan Mansion, instantly defeating his power. The aftermath of the force spread in all directions, shaking the entire Duan Mansion, even the whole Chuzhou City. But in another courtyard, not far from the courtyard where Duan Rafeng and his wife lived, a girl took action. After the girl took action, she rose into the air and stared at Lei Hong calmly. I know you. You are Lei Hong in the Mingguang realm. When Lei Hong saw the girl in front of him, his mentality almost collapsed. Why is this woman here? He also knew Yu Shao, the second city lord of the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty in the outside world, because he was a warlike person. As soon as he entered the Saint Realm, he came to the world to challenge the powerful masters of the upper 3 realms. He also fought against the opponent. However, he was better at that time. However, he also relied on the tyranny of the power of the second law and the help of the clone of the law. Later, he saw the Tiandao text announcement and knew that Yu Xiao had entered the 7th level of the strongest. Now, seeing the other person here, he knew that the purpose of his trip was going to fail. The fact that Duan Lingshan's master, Feng Qingyang, became a Taoist couple with the 7th city, lord of the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty, Xue Qingzhu, was not a secret in Wanjie and even outside the world. Those losers didn't even find out that Yu Xiao is also in the Duan mansion. Lei Hong cursed secretly, but he didn't know that his people couldn't find Yu Xiao's existence entirely because Yu Xiao was too low-key. He was like a transparent person in the Duan mansion. Except for Duan Lingtian and his family, no one else knew about Yu Xiao. The presence. Whoosh! Then, when Yu Xiao was about to take action again and discovered that there was movement in Qingyan Mansion, Lei Hong slipped away. Given that he, Yu Xiao, and Zhaoani were both at the 7th level of the Dao, there would be no pressure if he wanted to escape before Zhaoani arrived. Coward Rihan! Lei Hong fled, but Yu Xiao did not chase him, because she knew that if the other party wanted to escape, it would be difficult for her to catch up. But this did not prevent her from using her own strength to push the sound out so that Lei Hong could hear what she said. Really? After hearing this, Lei Hong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. At the same time, he responded coldly. Yu Xiao, if you didn't have Zhaoani to help you, do you think I, Lei Hong, would be afraid of you? Don't forget, in the past you were just my defeated general, Lei Hong. At this time, Zhaoani, who had arrived late, heard the conversation between Yu Xiao and Lei Hong and knew who had attacked the Duan mansion. But he was too late after all. Sister Yu Xiao. Zhaoani saw Yu Xiao and smiled awkwardly. After all, it was his fault this time. It was him who came late that caused Lei Hong to escape. You came too late, Yu Xiao said with a look of disgust. Let me tell you, although your Qingyun mansion has moved here, it is best for you to stay in the Duan mansion. In this way, if Lei Hong comes again, if I join forces, we may have a chance to keep him forever. This is the world of gods and earth. Lei Hong does not have a clone of the law, only his true self. If you and I join forces to kill him, with the character of my nephew, I will definitely accept your love. The conflict between Duan Lingtian and Lei Hong is no secret, whether in the past 10,000 realms or the land outside the realm. Zhaoani also felt a little regretful when he heard this. It's a pity indeed. I will move to Duan Mansion today, Zhaoani said repeatedly, and at the same time he also looked forward to Lei Hong coming again. Maybe he could really kill Lei Hong, and thus give brother Ling Tian a big favor. In his opinion, the Ling Tian brother has amazing potential. Even in this world of gods and earth where there are no laws, he will have a chance to stand at the top sooner or later. At that time, the favor of brother Ling Tian is worth more than all other wealth. Duan Ling Tian didn't know what happened in Chuzhou City. In this world of gods and earth, because there are no laws, it is impossible to communicate over long distances. This is because in the past worlds and places outside the boundaries, the reason why long-distance communications were possible relied on the power of laws that filled the world. The summons was completed only after the main push of Zhejiali. Now, Duan Lingtian, under the leadership of his master Feng Qingyang, came to the Endless Sword Domain. Ahead is the Endless Sword Realm. It is said to be the holy land of swordsmanship, left behind after a long duel between two high-level swordsmen in the world of Shinto. Feng Qingyang opened his mouth and introduced, "My swordsmanship is also a breakthrough in it. 8th floor." Chapter 4672. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. This is not the first time Feng Qingyang has come to the Endless Sword Domain, so he is already familiar with it. Duan Lingtian was not weak in strength, and with a veteran like Feng Qingyang leading the way, it was naturally a smooth journey after entering the Endless Sword Domain. The so-called danger in this endless sword domain is actually the aftermath of the duel between two strong men from the top of Hadao. The two of them sealed the area in this area and did not completely dissipate. However, even if it is sealed inside, it cannot exist forever. When the time comes, the endless sword domain will gradually weaken and even disappear from the world of divine land. After Duan Lingtian followed his master through the endless sword realm that his master had walked in the past, he continued to go deeper. At this time, it was really necessary for two people to deal with it at the same time. In this area, the power of the sword that filled the sky also made Duan Lingtian, the two of them, realize something. The two of them understood the way of swordsmanship and confirmed each other's swordsmanship with their own, intending to find their own way forward and take a step further. Not long after Feng Qingyang's swordsmanship broke through to the 8th level, there was still a long way to go before entering the 9th level. Duan Lingshan's swordsmanship has already reached the 8th level. He has the lifelong memory of Old Man Wukong. Although he cannot rely on Old Man Wukong's 9th level swordsmanship memory to advance his swordsmanship to the 9th level, he can still itself the sword path is not far from the 9th floor. At this point, Duan Lingshan's swordsmanship has further improved, and he is only half a step away from the 9th level. I feel like I have the opportunity to master the art of swordsmanship to the 9th level here. Duan Lingtian woke up and turned around. His eyes were deep, and he glanced at Master Feng Qingyang, who was not far away. At this moment, around Feng Qingyang's body, there are thousands of translucent, sword-shaped auras raging, sometimes fast and sometimes slowly. Between each sword-shaped aura wandering around, it seems that there is a hidden principle of swordsmanship. Duan Lingtian only glanced at it for a few times before he was entranced. Speaking of which, he and his master had never communicated with each other about the art of swordsmanship after they left the creation world. At that time, master's swordsmanship was only at the 7th level. When I first met the master in the divine land world, the master's swordsmanship had already broken through to the 8th level. In addition, he had to return to Chuzhou City later, and then he and the master rushed to the endless sword domain. Although there is also talk about swordsmanship, but the communication was not deep until now. Through the process of Master Feng Qingyang's understanding of the way of swordsmanship, Duan Lingtian also gained some insights from it, and unknowingly he was immersed in the understanding of the way of swordsmanship. The original bottleneck that restrained him was also broken unconsciously. This time he felt it was just a moment. In fact, it took a long time. At least Feng Qingyang had woken up long ago. After waking up, he also found that his disciple Duan Lingtian seemed to have fallen into an epiphany. For a while he was at the side, protecting him with peace of mind. At the same time, he was also quite curious. I don't know how much progress Xiaotian will make when he wakes up from this suspected state of enlightenment. Duan Lingtian is now immersed in the world of swordsmanship. At first, he seemed to have returned to the secular world of the past when he was still in the Nishan realm. When he was in the sacred plane, at that time he got the swordsmanship left by his master Feng Qingyang. Clever. It was at that moment that the gears of fate turned, allowing him to embark on the path of swordsmanship. Later, he began to study kendo and relied on the space laws that he was good at to find his own space kendo path. Later, he overcame all obstacles and rose to prominence, and finally gained the lifelong memory of Old Man Wukong. Duan Lingtian felt that he had experienced his past life again, and everything was so real. When he remembered again that he was now in the endless sword domain, after the incident, a kind of enlightenment emerged spontaneously, and soon he was far away from the 9th level of swordsmanship. The last bottleneck on the 1st floor was solved at the right time. The moment the kendo entered the 9th level, he felt that the power in his body was boiling, and his quality changed to another level. Entering the 9th floor, at this moment, Duan Lingtian opened his eyes. His whole body looked unchanged, but his eyes were deeper and gave people a completely different feeling. At least, that's what Feng Qingyang on the side thinks. Wow, Even a moment after Duan Lingtian broke through, an invisible aura swept over him, allowing Feng Qingyang to confirm one thing for the first time. Xiao Tianyu, is this a breakthrough? Feng Qingyang had a look of horror on his face. He never expected that when his disciple entered the endless sword realm for the first time, he would break through in the way of swordsmanship. Even his cultivation level would break through in the way of swordsmanship at the same time, entering the 9th floor. With such strength, even in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom they left earlier, they would definitely be invincible. Lucky. Duan Lingtian came back to his senses and looked at the master in front of him. His originally sharp eyes softened in an instant. Having relived his past life, he became even more grateful to this master. It can be said that if he had not received the master's sword inheritance at the beginning, and if he had not received the master's help later, he would probably be the same now. Can't get this far. Master is the absolute noble person in his life. It seems that this place is really suitable for you. Next, you can further show your strength in the world of gods and earth and become famous all over the world. Feng Qingyang was happy for his disciple, and at the same time knew that this was also a good thing for him. As the disciple becomes more famous in the world of gods and earth, his Taoist companion, Shui Qingzhu, may also receive the news and go to Duanfu, Chuzhou City, Jianglan Divine Kingdom. In that case, the day when he and his Taoist companion will be reunited will also be just around the corner. Master, after I leave this endless sword realm, I plan to visit other places in the divine land world. Do you want to go with me? Duan Lingtian asked his master. Naturally, his next most important goal is to become famous all over the world and to find his family and friends who are scattered all over the world. In addition, he also wants to further improve his strength and step into the Hedao. When the time comes, he will see if he can get the creation life chart and see if the old worlds and places outside the world still exist. If it doesn't exist, can it be rebuilt? To put it bluntly, that is his home. Of course, even if he wants to return home in the future, he must hold the creation life chart in his hands and never let it wander outside. Otherwise, the creatures in the world inside may also become taboos for the new master of the creation life chart. Tao Tonic. At the same time, he also saw the methods of the top powerhouse in the world of gods and earth. Entering the 9th level of Taoism is considered the end of Taoism, but it is not the end of cultivators in the world of gods and earth. In the world of gods and earth, on top of entering the Tao, there is also the harmony of the Tao. Once Hedao comes out, no matter how strong the Taoist is, he is nothing more than a chicken or a dog. We should each go our own way. I have no pressure walking with you, which is not a good thing for me. Feng Qingyang said very soberly. Chapter 4673. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Although the master and apprentice had made a decision, they were not in a hurry to take action. Next, they will continue to go deep into the endless sword domain. At this moment, even Feng Qingyang's strength has been greatly improved, let alone Duan Lingtian. His swordsmanship has further broken through, and he has entered the 9th level. His cultivation has also broken through, and he has entered the 9th level of the Tao. Duan Lingtian's current strength is lower than that of the Hedao strongman from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, who is second only to the royal family. Of course, the premise is that there are really strong people in the royal family. As far as Duan Lingtian knows, there are rumors about the Hedao strongman from Jianglan Divine Kingdom. No one has seen the other party take action. It is more just speculation. As for another strong person in the royal family, he should have understood the main path to the 9th level and the secondary path to the 7th level. His strength is not necessarily stronger than the current Duan Lingtian. After all, Duan Lingtian not only comprehended the main sword way to the 9th level, but also the secondary ways, as well as the secondary ways, the way of infinity and the way of control. He also understood it to the 7th level, and could even be promoted quickly. After all, there is no time the old man's achievements in his heyday didn't stop there. During his lifetime, Wukong mastered the way of swordsmanship to the 9th level, the way of control, and the way of infinity to the 8th level respectively. Duan Lingtian has his own foundation in swordsmanship and cannot completely follow the old man Wukong's old path. However, the way to control and the way to infinity can follow the old path of the old man Wukong. This old road is a shortcut for Duan Lingtian, which will allow him to comprehend the way of control and the way of infinity to the 8th level as soon as possible. Just a matter of time. The reason why he has not made a breakthrough so far is because Duan Lingtian used to focus solely on the way of swordsmanship. Only in his spare time, when the way of swordsmanship encountered bottlenecks, would he digest the parts of old man Wukong's memory about the way to control and the way to infinity. Now, Kendo has entered the 9th level and has met the standard of Hadao. He can concentrate on improving the other 2 paths. When one of the other 2 Daos also steps into the 9th level, he can try to use the 2 9th level Daos as the basis to try to combine a completely own Dao. Once you successfully combine your own Tao, you can enter the Union Tao realm. Certainly, this does not mean that the Endless Sword domain will not be helpful to Duan Lingtian in the future. Here, Duan Lingtian can still further refine and hone his Kendo and lay a better foundation for Kendo. In the blink of an eye, several years have passed since Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang entered the Endless Sword domain. In the past few years, both of them have achieved something. Duan Lingtian even entered the 9th level of the Dao 2 years ago. Now, the 2 of them have explored almost every corner of the Endless Sword territory and gathered all the wool of the Endless Sword territory. From then on, the Endless Sword territory has no help to them. After leaving the Endless Sword domain, Feng Qingyang said hello and left. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but smile bitterly. However, unlike Master Feng Qingyang, who left like this, Duan Lingtian did not plan to travel far away directly. Instead, he planned to return to Chuzhou City, Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and then spend time with his family and friends, and take a look at the few days he left, year time, and whether family members and friends have returned. Lei Hong. When Duan Lingtian returned to Chuzhou City, he learned from Zhaoani that Lei Hong had come to kill him after he left Chuzhou City a few years ago. Fortunately, Yu Xiao took action in time. Otherwise, his family, relatives, and friends will be in danger of life. Danger was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. For a moment, murderous intent raged in Duan Lingshan's eyes. He never expected that Lei Hong would also appear in the world of divine soil. He didn't even enter the Tower of Babel to seek death. It was beyond his expectation. Duan Lingtian also didn't know that the reason why Lei Hong didn't enter the Tower of Babel was entirely because of him. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would definitely regret that he didn't cover it up and change things. Otherwise, Lei Hong wouldn't have found out about him and his identity. After the people around him appeared at the 3rd entrance of Babel Tower, none of them entered Babel Tower. After spending some time with his family, Duan Lingtian not only gathered his family and friends, but also Zhaoani, Yu Xiao, and Layman Tingyin, who were all called over by him. At the same time, he also began to preach in front of everyone, mainly talking about his 9th level of swordsmanship. After entering the 9th level of swordsmanship, Duan Lingtian suddenly became enlightened. Many of his doubts about swordsmanship in the past were solved. It felt like a qualitative improvement. The way he preached now was completely different from the way he taught in the past. It was also during this process that Master Tingyun, whose swordsmanship was close to the 7th level, discovered the clues and couldn't help but asked in shock, "Sir, your swordsmanship." "Well, we have entered the 9th floor." This short sentence not only made Master Tingyun take a breath of air, but even Zhaoani and Yu Xiao were frightened. Family members and friends, except for the wives who already knew about Duan Lingshan's breakthrough, were also shocked. "Father, you are now a strong man on the 9th level." Duan Sailing's cheeks were red with excitement, and her eyes were full of fanatical worship. She has always regarded her father as her idol. Now that her father has come to the world of gods and earth, she is still so strong, which makes her a daughter extremely excited. Name? Duan Lingtian nodded. After sermon, everyone improved a lot. The ones who improved the most were Duan Lingshins, wives Huaner and Kier. Their swordsmanship broke through at the same time and entered the next level. Even the layman Tingyun successfully broke through the shackles during Duan Lingshin's sermon and successfully entered the 7th level of the sword. His cultivation level also followed the 7th level of the sword, and he became a new master in Chuzhou. Enter the 7th level of Taoism by... Thank you, sir. After the breakthrough, Master Tenjian's face flushed with excitement, and he knelt on the ground facing Duan Lingtian with a pious posture, as if he was worshipping God. Now that we have a breakthrough, I hope you can take care of Duan Mansion more in the future. Duan Lingtian said with a smile, raised his hand casually, and unintentionally lifted Master Tingyun up. Don't worry, sir. From now on, as long as nothing happens, I, Tingyun, will live in the Duan Mansion and protect the Duan Mansion. Layman Tingyun promised repeatedly, his tone still exciting. He is really happy, because with the talent he had shown in the past, it was extremely difficult to take the sword a step further and reach the 7th level. He had even prepared to wait for the end of his life and go to bed without being able to break through. But he didn't expect that he would meet a noble man like Duan Lingtian who would help him improve his swordsmanship quickly. Now he preaches without reservation, helping his swordsmanship to achieve a smooth breakthrough. After entering the 7th level of the Tao, his lifespan increased again. In his eyes at this moment, Duan Lingtian is no different than his reborn parent. He'll stay for a while longer. Because Lei Hong had been here before, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to leave this time, and even deliberately set up a trap, pretending to leave with Layman Tingyun and Yu Xiao, leaving Zhao Ani alone. Finally, he quietly brought the 2 people he took out back to Duan Mansion. He wanted to see if Lei Hong would be fooled. I will not leave until the way of infinity and the way of control enter the 8th level. Although Lei Hong was not fooled in a short period of time, he had no plans to leave for the time being. He thought that it would not be too late to leave to continue to make a name for himself while improving his strength after catching up with the pace of Yukong in his lifetime. At the same time, he also intends to understand the world outside Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Those places may be the destinations of his next journey. Chapter 4674. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. For the next period of time, Duan Lingtian stayed in the Duan Mansion to spend time with his family while further integrating Old Man Wukong's memories of the Infinite Way and the Way of Control. After spending a short period of time, he first promoted the Way of Control to the 8th level, reaching the level of Old Man Wukong. During this period, no one from his family and friends who were living abroad came to seek refuge. Obviously, they are not in Jianglan Divine Kingdom or near Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Niantian, Xiaohe, Xiaobai, and the others, as well as Master Nyang, should be living in other places in the world of gods and earth. This is not difficult for Duan Lingtian to guess now. He continues to merge with the infinite ways of Old Man Wukong. This process was originally going smoothly until an unexpected guest arrived, and he stopped studying the Way of Infinity. After seeing the other person, he asked curiously, "Brother Hong, why are you here? Are you looking for something from me?" The person who came was none other than the ancestor of the Hong Mansion who had competed with Duan Lingtian at Qingtian Peak a few years ago. He was a strong man on the 8th level of Taoism and had the prison-suppressing sword Hong Dongquan. He was quite surprised by Hong Dongquan's arrival. Of course, he also knew that Hong Dongquan would definitely come to the 3 Treasures Hall for nothing, so there must be something going on when he came to see him this time. After all, only a few people knew about his stay in Duan Mansion in Chuzhou City. People outside only thought that he was still outside and had not come back. Under such circumstances, Hong Dongchuan still came to the door, most likely with the idea of trying his luck. Brother Lingtian, the main reason I came here is to see if you are still in Duan Mansion. If you are not, I will turn around and go back to the royal family directly. However, since you are here, I still want to ask for your opinion. This was Hong Dongquin's first sentence. Ask my opinion? Duan Lingtian looked puzzled, not knowing what Hong Dongchuan meant by what he said. This is what happened. As Hong Dongchuan spoke, Duan Lingtian also knew Hong Dongquin's intention. Hong Dongchuan came here on behalf of the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. To be precise, the royal family asked Hong Dongchuan for help and asked him to go to the capital of Chuzhou to see if he was still in the Duan Mansion. If he was, they invited him to the royal family, and soon he would follow the powerful royal family as Jianglan. Kingdom of God earns a face. Every 1,000 years, an entered Dao showdown will be held between the Jianglan Divine Kingdom and the Bitter Sea Temple. In the duel after entering the Dao, each side will send 5 beings who have entered the 7th level or above to compete in accordance with the rules. The winner can take away the rewards from Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple, and the winner can also get a Hedao monument from the loser. The rewards given by both sides for the Dao duel are actually just ordinary rewards, and even the stronger Dao masters will look down on them. The ultimate goal of both parties is the Hedao monument. The Hedao stele is the imprint left by a strong Hedao person on a special stele with his own strength and the way he combines before he dies and goes to bed. It is for people to understand and helps to lay the foundation of Hedao. Because of this, looking at the entire divine land world, the Hedao monument is also an extremely precious thing. Even Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple now have 3 Hedao steles in their combined hands. There is 1 piece for Jianglan Divine Kingdom and 2 pieces for Kuhai Temple. One of the pieces of the Kuhai Temple was lost to the Kuhai Temple by Jianglan Divine Kingdom thousands of years ago. This time, if Jianglan Divine Kingdom loses again, it will lose even the last Hedao monument. In this way, there will no longer be a showdown on the path between the Kingdom of God and the Temple. Whether it is our Jianglan Divine Kingdom or the Kuhai Temple, each has a Hedao strongman sitting in charge, and a Hedao strongman cannot easily take action, so the competition for the Hedao monument has also come to an end, existing in the realm of entry on the head. This time, the Bitter Sea Temple has a good chance of winning. Jianglan Divine Kingdom is afraid that they will lose again this time and lose the only Hedao monument, so I thought of the past battles between me and you, and wanted you to represent Jianglan Divine Kingdom in the battle. The royal family has said that if we win in the end, 1/3 of the rewards provided by both sides will belong to you, and you can choose first. In addition, you can choose one of the Hedao tablets among the royal family to comprehend 300 years of time. 5 people went out to fight and let Duan Lingtian take 1/3, which can be said to be very kind. If the Hedao monument is lost next time, the royal family will give Duan Lingtian 300 years to comprehend it, which is equally kind. Those things may be of little use to you, but they are of great use to your family and friends. Immediately afterwards, Hong Dongchuan specially introduced some possible rewards to Duan Lingtian, which made Duan Lingshan's eyes brighten. It is indeed of no use to him, but to his family and friends, it is very rare and useful, a treasure that helps practice and improve strength. Why are you looking for me? Wouldn't it be better to go outside and find foreign aid from the 9th floor? Duan Lingtian said doubtfully, You can't look for foreign aid. Hong Dongchuan shook his head. That being said, can't we look for it secretly? Duan Lingtian asked back. Hong Dongchuan shook his head again. In the world of gods and earth, all beings who have entered the 8th level or the 9th level are basically unknown people. Even if you, Brother Lingtian, have just arrived in just a few decades, your name will also spread throughout the world of gods and earth, allowing most people to know you. Even if some people may not be able to hear about you, The major forces in the world of gods and earth will definitely have your information and know where you are a strong person. In this case, it is clear at a glance whether it is foreign aid or not. Hearing this, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized Dao Qing enters the 8th level and above, and is considered a character in the world of gods and earth. Can I be considered a member of Jianglan Divine Kingdom? Duan Lingtian asked. After all, I have just become famous in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. You want to treat me as a foreign aid and refuse to let me act on behalf of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, right? Of course, you are a member of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Hong Dongchuan said with a smile. You come from the world of creation, but that world is not in any area of the divine land world. Since you live in our Jianglan Divine Kingdom and become famous here, naturally we are also included. People from Jianglan Divine Kingdom. It is reasonable for you to fight on behalf of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. After all, over at the Kuhai Temple, they have previously invited unknown and hidden strong men from other places to come out. They first come to their territory of the Kuhai Temple to make a name for themselves, and then go out to fight on behalf of the Kuhai Temple. Because the other party was not famous in the past, no one knew where he came from in the divine land world, so he cannot be regarded as a foreign aid. Duan Lingtian suddenly realized. At the same time, he looked at Hong Dongchuan and said with a smile, Brother Hong, if my strength is stronger than that of the royal family who has entered the 9th level, can I get more benefits? Now, rumors are spreading everywhere in Jiang Lanchan's country. It is said that Duan Lingtian is the 3rd strongest person in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom, second only to the strong person in the Hedao realm after the royal family, and the strong person who has entered the 9th level. However, he is confident that with his current strength, he is definitely no weaker than the 9th level member of the royal family. What? Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Hong Dongchuan was so frightened that he froze on the spot. After a while, he asked with a horrified expression, Brother Lingtian, you have entered the 9th level of Taoism. Chapter 4675. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Hong Dongchuan looked at Duan Lingtian with eyes full of shock and disbelief. Although he has not known Duan Lingtian for a long time, he also knows that this is not a person who talks freely. Since he said so, he must have truly achieved a breakthrough. Seeing Duan Lingtian nodding, even though he was prepared, he couldn't help but gasp, just because it's so scary, entering the 9th level. The last time he and his opponent faced off at Qingtian Peak near the capital of Jiangzhou, and the opponent was only on the 8th level of the Dao. How long has it been? Just entered the 9th level? Some time ago, I followed my master and walked around the endless sword domain, and I made a breakthrough. Duan Lingtian smiled and said to Hong Dongchuan. Hong Dongchuan naturally knew about the endless sword domain. He had even been there and wanted to seek a breakthrough in the way of swordsmanship, but he had gained nothing. But he didn't expect that when Duan Lingtian went to that place, his swordsmanship would reach the 9th level in one fell swoop. Only in this way can Duan Lingtian break through to the 9th level of the Dao. If you enter the 9th level, you will definitely get more things. However, I can't promise you on behalf of the royal family. You have to negotiate this yourself. Hong Dongchuan said to Duan Lingtian. The implication is obvious. As long as you show your worth, the royal family will definitely not be stingy. Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded, and since he had nothing to do now, he followed Hong Dongchuan to Jiangzhou again, to the capital, and even followed Hong Dongchuan into the royal compound. He even had a brief discussion with the 9th level expert from the royal family. Although it was only a short exchange, the winner was determined. Duan Lingtian wins. His dash! Seeing this, Hong Dongchuan couldn't help but gasp again. He never expected that Duan Lingtian, who had just broken through to the 9th level, would be stronger than the 9th level expert from the royal family. It was simply outrageous. Is that human being? Brother Duan, you are awesome. This 9-level expert from the royal family is an old man who looks to be over 70 years old. He holds a cane in his hand, has white hair and white eyebrows and a kind look. Although he was defeated, he did not show any strange emotions at all, and he was still calm and calm. But in fact, his strength still caused waves of chaos. Originally, he was just curious that Duan Lingtian, a little guy recognized by the outside world as the 3rd strongest person in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, could step into the 9th level of Taoism in such a short period of time, and did not think that the other party could be his opponent. But he didn't expect that the other party was so powerful and even stronger than him. With you here, little brother Duan, we, Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple, are determined to win this battle for the Hadao Monument. This old man, named Jiang Haishan, is the ancestor of the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. The powerful Hadao, realm member of the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, was his grandfather. Senior Jiang, thank you very much, Duan Lingtian said modestly, and then, without him having to take the initiative to speak, Jiang Haishan bluntly said that he was willing to give Duan Lingtian more benefits, even if the time to comprehend the Hadao Monument could be extended to 800 years. When Duan Lingtian was only on the 8th level of Dao, Hong Dongchuan came over and told Duan Lingtian that it would take 300 years to comprehend the Hadao Monument. But now, it has directly become 800 years. If Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple win the battle over the Hadao Steel, they will also get the use of the Hadao Steel for 1,000 years. They are promised 800 years at once, which is equivalent to the royal family only leaving 200 years for enlightenment, the time of the Hadao Monument. It can be seen that without Duan Lingtian joining, the royal family has no illusions about this time's battle for the Hadao Monument. Brother Duan, you help our Jianglan Divine Kingdom seize the Hadao Monument this time, and help us seize it again in 1,000 years. The royal family can give you the Hadao Monument that will be captured in 1,000 years. Jiang Haishan continued, and in his words, he obviously wanted Duan Lingtian to help Jianglan Divine Kingdom twice in a row. Although the temptation of the Hadao Monument was not small, Duan Lingtian did not lose his mind due to the promise made by the other party. He just smiled lightly and said, "Thousands of years later, if I am still here in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, I will naturally be willing to serve the royal family." With that, again, a fight at the Bitter Sea Temple. Hearing Duan Lingshan's uncertain words, Jiang Haishan nodded with satisfaction. If Duan Lingtian agreed directly, he felt that Duan Lingtian was not calm enough. Brother Dongchuan. At this time, Jiang Haishan looked at Hong Dongchuan and said solemnly, "Don't talk about little brother Duan entering the 9th level of the Dao for the time being. This time, he will become our Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Fight for the Hadao Monument with Kuhai Temple, the absolute trump card in the entrance duel." "I see." Hong Dongchuan nodded. Sensing Jiang Haishan's glance, Duan Lingtian guessed what he wanted to say before he could speak. "Senior, don't worry, I won't reveal that I have made a breakthrough in the future." When Jiang Haishan heard this, wrinkles piled up on his old face, revealing a smile that was uglier than crying. Next, Duan Lingtian returned to Duan Mansion in Chuzhou City, where he continued to accompany his family while continuing to integrate the infinite way left in the memory of old man Wukong. It wasn't until the time was almost up that he went to the royal family of the capital of Jiangzhou, preparing to go to the Kuhai Temple to participate in this entertainment showdown with a member of the royal family who entered the 9th level and 3 others. The last time, the Taoist duel was held within the territory of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. This time, it was the turn of the Bitter Sea Temple. Wow. Naturally, Duan Lingtian didn't need to fly by himself when he was on the road. A huge bird flew out from the royal family's side. It was a monster beast with the strength of the 7th level, and this also reminded him of the 9 monsters behind the 9 mysterious entrances that were above the 8th level of the Tao when he was still in the world. Brother Hong. Out of curiosity, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but ask Hong Dongchuan, which force or powerful person in the world of gods and earth sent the nine-headed monster beast to the 8th level to guard the entrance and exit of the creation chart. However, Hong Dongchuan did not know this either. However, they also suspect that it was the arrangement of the big forces who preserved the parts of the creation chart in the past. Those forces, without exception, are all the top forces in the world of gods and earth. In each force, there are more than 2 or 3 Hedao strong men sitting in command. You must know that in the entire world of gods and earth, the number of powerful Hedao people is also extremely limited. There were 5 people on this trip, except for Hong Dongchuan and the royal family's Jiang Haishan. Duan Lingtian only knew the names of the other 2 through Jiang Haishan's introduction before departure, and was not familiar with them. A middle-aged man and a beautiful woman. The former has majestic eyebrows and a tall figure, while the latter is gorgeously dressed and elegant. It is obvious that they are not ordinary people in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Chapter 4676, the fastest update to Lingtian Warlord. These 2 people, the middle-aged man's name is Xiao Jinan, and the beautiful woman's name is Hua Ruo. Without exception, they are both beings in the kingdom of God and on the 8th level of Taoism. Of course, in terms of strength, he is still weaker than Hong Dongchuan. After the 2 of them briefly greeted Duan Lingtian, they couldn't help but glance at Duan Lingtian from time to time. They had already heard about this anti-god sword Duan Lingtian, and they also knew that Hong Dongchuan had been defeated by him. However, the 2 were in retreat at the time, so they did not attend the game. Later, although others made wild claims, deep down in their hearts, they still had some doubts. Can this Duan Lingtian really defeat Hong Dongchuan? They knew Hong Dongquan's strength, and he was definitely not a mediocre person. Otherwise, he would not have been recognized as the 3rd strongest person in Jianglan Divine Kingdom in the past, and he would still be ranked above the 2 of them. Before, Duan Lingtian appeared among the top 5 powerful men in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. The first was undoubtedly the one from the royal family who was in the Hedao realm, and the second was Jiang Haishan from the royal family, who had entered the 9th level. The 3rd is Hong Dongchuan. The 4th is Hua Ruo. The 5th is Xiao Jinan. Whether it is Hua Ruo or Xiao Jinan, this is actually not the first time that they represent Jianglan Divine Kingdom and compete with the Kuhai Temple for the Hedao Monument. With the strength of a 7th level demon beast, he quickly left Zhangzhou and Jianglan Divine Kingdom. The Bitter Sea Temple is just to the west of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. After leaving Jianglan Divine Kingdom, you have entered the scope of the Bitter Sea Temple. Although the area of the Kuhai Temple is not as vast as our Jianglan Divine Kingdom, it is still half as big as Jianglan Divine Kingdom. In fact, if it is said to be a temple, you can also regard it as a divine kingdom, because the Kuhai Temple area, those within cities, are protected by the Temple of the Sea of Suffering, and taxes need to be paid layer by layer. After entering the Bitter Sea Temple area, Hong Dongchuan promptly introduced to Duan Lingtian, "Of course, there is no royal family or emperor in Kuhai Temple. However, there are leaders like emperors, but they just don't have so many rules. They're about lifelong equality. Even if he is the sacred monk of the Kuhai Temple, the common people in the Kuhai Temple area do not need to salute or anything when they see him. They can even ignore him. And in our Jianglan Kingdom, this would be considered disrespectful." Following Hong Dongquan's words, Duan Lingtian also gained a better understanding of the Kuhai Temple. This is a bit like the so-called equality and freedom in Western countries when he was still on Earth. Behind this equality and freedom, taxes that should be paid still need to be paid. In comparison, Jianglan Divine Kingdom is more like the ancient feudal dynasty of Earth China. Of course, he later traveled to the secular plane, the sacred plane, where a series of countries, whether kingdoms, empires, were all based on the model of feudal dynasties. The core area of the Bitter Sea Temple is called the Boundless Domain, which is taken from the boundless sea of bitterness. The main temple of the Bitter Sea Temple is within the boundless territory. Our trip is to boundless territory. The boundless territory is surrounded by other areas of the Bitter Sea Temple in the center, like stars over the moon. It is similar to Jiangzhou, where the capital of our Jianglan Divine Kingdom is located. Under Hong Dongquan's introduction, the Bitter Sea Temple became much less mysterious to Duan Lingtian. Although it is a temple, it is actually a country similar to the one in the west of the earth where it used to be. Is the equality of all living beings the purpose of Kuhai Temple? It's just false equality. If we really put the so-called sacred monks of the Sea of Bitter Temple in one place, and the 100,000 civilians of the Sea of Bitter Sea Temple in another place, and choose one of the two, and let the Sea of Bitter Temple decide their life and death, it will still cost 100,000 people. Civilians to die instead of let a holy monk die. In the end, isn't it true that the strong is respected and the strong is supreme? Arriving at the boundless area, the core area of the Bitter Sea Temple, we soon approached the city near the main temple of the Bitter Sea Temple. Unlike the royal family of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom, which stands in the capital, the main temple of the Kuhai Temple is independent among the mountains. There is a city outside the mountains, which is also the largest and most prosperous city in the Kuhai Temple, called Bitterness Sea Temple City. As soon as Duan Lingtian and others arrived, someone from the Kuhai Temple was responsible for welcoming them into the Kuhai Temple City. The prosperity of the Temple City is comparable to that of the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Duan Lingtian and his party were arranged in an independent mansion that had obviously just been cleaned. Everyone had a comfortable, independent courtyard. The Dao Duel is scheduled for 3 days from now. It will be done internally and not publicly available. The confrontation between Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple has always been conducted in private and has not been widely publicized. Because of this, if the royal family had not found Duan Lingtian, even though Duan Lingtian had stayed in Jianglan Divine Kingdom for a while and became famous everywhere, he would not have known about the existence of this entered Dao Duel. Duan Lingtian didn't stay in the small courtyard for long before he walked out bored. Of course, what he wanted more was to experience some of the customs of this Bitter Sea Temple City. When he entered the city, he felt that it was different here. Many things and aspects had some Buddhist overtones. Everywhere on the street a man wearing a monk's robe can be seen. There were also some ascetics who knelt down and worshipped all the way out of the city. They took 3 steps to kneel down, worship and kowtow, and walk towards the outside of the city. When entering the city, Hong Dongquan told Duan Lingtian that the direction in which these ascetics were kneeling was exactly where the main temple of Kuhai Temple was. They would also start from the temple city and kneel all the way to the main temple to show there the devotion to Buddha remains the same. As Duan Lingtian walked through the streets and alleys of the temple city, the sound that came to his ears the most was the sound of Buddha coming from the Buddhist instruments. He relaxed his mind, and in the baptism of the Buddha's sound, his whole person seemed to be greatly relaxed. This feeling is very comfortable. I haven't experienced it in a long time. In the past, when he was still in the land of 10,000 realms and outside the boundary, he stepped into the 7th level of the strongest. He thought that he and his master would be the only 2 strongest 7th levels in the world in the future. In this case, it's totally possible to retire and enjoy life. Cultivation is just fun. Unexpectedly, the situation suddenly changed, and the words of heaven came, opening a shortcut to the 7th level of the most powerful for other world leaders and saints. With the emergence of new 7th level heroes one after another, his idea of retirement naturally came to nothing. Later, he became the first most powerful 8th level being in all realms, and even in the realm of the gods. I thought that as long as I kept walking, I would be able to look down on all living beings, but I didn't expect that the divine earth world would appear. The 8th level of the strongest, in the world of gods and earth, is the 8th level of the Tao. Although it is considered a relatively top powerhouse, there's a harmony realm above the Tao, which shocks him and makes him yearn for it. Now he has reached the end of the path. The next step is to attack Hadao. When he steps into Hadao, his strength is equivalent to reaching the level of the heavenly way in the world outside the world. Chapter 46-77. Duan Lingtian was walking in the temple city, his whole body in a state of relaxation, very relaxed. It was during this process that he once again inexplicably entered a state similar to enlightenment. During this process, the infinite path in the memory of old man Mukong was quickly integrated by him and turned into his own use. The infinite way has officially entered the 8th level. At this moment, the third of the 10,000 ways Duan Lingtian mastered, the 9th level of swordsmanship, the way of control, and the way of infinity have all reached the 8th level. Not to mention the contemporary Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Even the contemporary Bitter Sea Temple, where he is now, can find there is no one as special as him who has entered the 9th level. However, at this time, Duan Lingtian's enlightenment was not over yet. Walking in the temple city, listening to the continuous sound of Buddha, Duan Lingtian felt empty, and his soul seemed to be washed and sublimated. Based on the 10,000 ways he now mastered, he seemed to have seen a brand new path, which seemed to be very suitable for him. Go ahead. Duan Lingtian worked hard to move forward. When he first set foot on this road, he also recovered from the mysterious state of enlightenment. Originally the soul was wandering in the sky, but in an instant the wandering soul returned to the body. Is that the path to harmony? After waking up, Duan Lingtian recalled the scene just now and sighed. Although he set foot on that road, at the same time as he set foot on it, he also inexplicably got out of that wonderful state and came back to his senses. He had a very strong feeling. If he had continued to take a few steps forward in the state he was in just now, he might be able to find his own path to harmony. If he could get out of it, the harmony realm would be within easy reach for him. Pity. Just a little bit. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. But Duan Lingtian quickly calmed down, perhaps because walking in this temple city and the various atmospheres in the temple city made him calm down quickly. This was the first time in his life that he came to such a special city. The temple city is not the most prosperous city he has ever visited, and it is not even ranked among the cities he has visited in the past in terms of prosperity, but it is definitely the only one that can bring special cleansing and sublimation to his heart and soul. Wonderful city. When Duan Lingtian was visiting the temple city, in the main temple of Kuhai Temple, the 9th level monk did not show up, but the other 3 people who were going to participate in the duel with Jianglan Divine Kingdom had already gathered together to study this time. People from the other side of the country. Over at Jianglan Divine Kingdom, a new face came this time. Could it be that he broke the rules and went to find foreign aid? A bald man wearing a robe with lightning eyes said with a low voice, "If that's the case, they have broken the rules." That person is not included in the foreign aid that Jianglan Divine Kingdom is looking for. Another young man, dressed as a scholar and holding a folding fan, was sitting there leisurely with his legs crossed. That man's name is Duan Lingtian, and his nickname is Inverse Divine Sword. He is a very popular figure in Jianglan Divine Kingdom some time ago, an existence that defeated Hong Dongchuan, the prison-suppressing sword of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. I also paid attention to him before. I heard that he left Jianglan Divine Kingdom. I thought that even if the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom wanted to invite him, there would be no chance. But I didn't expect that at the critical moment he would still come on behalf of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. I am also the one who arranged some spies on the side of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Otherwise, I am afraid that no one on our side will know his identity when the duel begins. The young scholar continued to speak, explaining Duan Lingtian's identity and origin. It actually comes from the creation life chart world. The last skinny white-haired old man holding a cane suddenly lit up his cloudy eyes. Then I want to have a good fight with him and see what he can do. So what if we defeat Hong Dong-chuan? If I were to face that Hong Dong-chuan, even if we are both on the 8th level, I would definitely defeat him within 10 moves. The old man's words were full of arrogance. This time, Jianglan Divine Kingdom just felt that you were here, so they were unsure and invited Ling Tian. It's a pity that they tried their best to calculate, but they couldn't calculate it. There was another incident in the temple. A person has entered the 9th level. The bald man chuckled. Yes, they think that the boss is our trump card this time. Who knows? Our trump card this time is not only the boss, but also the new monk in the temple. The young scholar also smiled and flapped his folding fan gently, looking cool and casual. In the Kuhai Temple, only those who have entered the 9th level or above can be called divine monks. Normally, every time a divine monk appears in the Kuhai Temple, it needs to be widely advertised, and the news spreads throughout the Kuhai Temple. However, for this time's Enter Dao Duel, Kuhai Temple deliberately concealed the news, thinking that in this way they could use the newly promoted divine monks as their trump card to overwhelm Jianglan Divine Kingdom in the Dao Entrance Duel and win the title. Take the remaining piece of Hadao Monument from Jianglan Divine Kingdom. If you get the Hadao Steel from Jianglan Divine Kingdom this time, the number of Hadao Steel in Kuhai Temple will increase to 3, while Jianglan Divine Kingdom will have no more Hadao Steel. Under this situation, unless Jianglan Divine Kingdom can obtain the Hadao Monument through other means, it will be destined to be ineligible to challenge Kuhai Temple and initiate a Dao duel in the future. If you don't even have a bet, who will play with you? Get out. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the duel between Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple. Early in the morning, Duan Lingtian met Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan. The Dao duel between Jianglan Divine Kingdom and Kuhai Temple was not held within the temple city, but in a secluded place in the boundless area. In the past, when the Dao duel was held at Kuhai Temple, they always went to that place. That secluded place was deep in a series of mountains. Even if a 7th level monster is flying, it will take a full 2 hours from the time it enters the mountains to reach its destination. After Duan Lingtian and others arrived at their destination, they found that the people from Kuhai Temple had already arrived first. 5 figures stood there, watching them from a distance. Go ahead. After Jiang Haishan let the birds and monsters leave, he led Duan Lingtian and others to greet them. At the same time, he said hello to the middle-aged monk wearing black cassocks, who was the leader of the 5. Monk Yuhao, I haven't seen you for many years. Your style is still the same. Prince Haishan, you haven't changed at all. The middle-aged monk responded with a smile, and it was obvious that he was quite familiar with Jiang Haishan in his words. Although this was the first time Duan Lingtian met this middle-aged monk, he had already heard about him before coming here. Monk Yuhao. He is also the strongest person under the Hadao realm expert from Kuhai Temple, the only one in the Bitter Sea Temple who has entered the 9th level. It is as famous as Zhonghai Mountain of the royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Chapter 4678. After saying hello to Jiang Haishan, Divine Monk Yuhao looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a smile, "This is a bit unfamiliar. Lord Haishan, why don't you introduce me? This is our new strong man from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, little brother Duan Lingtian." Jiang Haishan said with a smile, and then introduced him to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian glanced at the other party, nodded, and said hello in a neutral tone. After all, he was not here to make friends, but to help Jianglan Divine Kingdom compete for the Hadao Monument. I know all the other 3. Let me introduce to little brother Duan Lingtian the other 4 people participating in the Dao duel in our Kuhai Temple. As Monk Yuhao introduced to Duan Lingtian also knew the names of the other 4 people from the Kuhai Temple. At this time, he also heard a message from Hong Dongchuan, saying that the skinny old man holding a cane was the one who belonged to the Kuhai Temple this time. The trump card is someone stronger than him, known as Old Man. Prince Haishin, shall we start directly? Monk Yuhao asked with a smile. Before today, the two parties had actually met, and both had seen other bets offered by the other party besides the Hadao monument. Today, the main thing is to enter the Dao duel, and the rest has already been arranged. Good. Jiang Haishin nodded. Originally, he came out this time to confront the disciples of Kuhai Temple. The fight for the Hadao monument was the first priority. Naturally, it would be better to fight quickly. Then let's get started. Divine, Monk Yuhao nodded, and then looked at the bald man wearing black robes over him. Toi, let you take the lead. Yes, holy monk. The bald man, Toi, looked extremely honest in front of divine Monk Yuhao, but when he came off the stage, his face was full of unruly. He looked at the other four people from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, except Jiang Haishin, and finally staring at Duan Lingtian. Young pretty boy, do you want to go out and play with me first? Tui, who used to be a monk at the Kuhai Temple, later returned to lay life and founded his own power, and is now the overlord of the Kuhai Temple, a person with considerable strength who has entered the 8th level. According to Hong Dongchuan, Tui's strength is not much weaker than him. Now, Tui's provocation to Duan Lingtian is naturally just a smokescreen, because he knows that Duan Lingtian is stronger than him and is Jianglan Divine Kingdom's trump card this time. Even if they are both on the 8th level, they are probably on their side. Duel between elders. He was sure that Duan Lingtian would not end so early, so he opened his mouth to provoke him like this. Laugh! Before Duan Lingtian could speak, Hong Dongchuan had already sneered. Tui, you are overestimating your abilities. You alone are not qualified to let me. Brother Lingtian, take action. In his opinion, with the current strength of his Lingtian brother, he could crush Tui to death with one finger. This Tui is so arrogant. Hong Dongchuan, you said that. Is it possible that this person is stronger than you? Takuno asked, pretending to be surprised. That's natural. Hong Dongchuan said calmly. I'd better do it first. On the side of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Huarua was the first to leave, looked directly at Tui and said lightly, Tui, last time I was defeated by you by just a hair. This time, I, Huarua, want to avenge my shame. Tui's eyes fell on Huarua and sneered. Huarua, you dare to say this. It seems that you have made some progress in these thousands of years. However, you are not so naive as to think that after thousands of years, you Huarua is the only one. Can there be progress? I hope your little cherry mouth can match your strength. As soon as the words fell, Tui took action. The sword light was raging, and he beheaded Xiang Huarua. Facing Tui's offensive, Huarua's power, which had been prepared for a long time, swept out in an instant. The rules of the Dao duel are actually very simple. There's one player on one side, and the loser gets off the field. The winner can choose to get off the field, or he can stay on the field and wait for the opponent's next person to get off the field. Theoretically, if one side has the strength to overwhelm the opponent's 5 strong men, it can completely accept the opponent's will battle, kill through the opponent's camp, and directly win the final victory. The other 4 people on the side can paddle without even taking action. Boom! Boom! In the field, the battle was fierce. Tui is good at the art of swords, while Huarua is good at a kind of art that Duan Lingtian has never seen before, flower art. I saw her take action, and her power spread out, like a goddess scattering flowers. It was very beautiful, but underneath the beauty, there was hidden murderous intent. She defied Tui's strong attacks time and time again, even after dozens of moves, as if overwhelming Takuno. Boom! In the end, Huarua managed to defeat Tui with minor injuries. Tui spat out a large mouthful of blood and was even more seriously injured. His face was pale, and his eyes were full of unwillingness. He never expected that he would be defeated by this former defeated general. Your Majesty, I guess I won't be able to continue the next duel. Hua Ruo, who had won the victory, looked at Jiang Haishan and said apologetically. Jiang Haishan smiled and said, "It doesn't matter, you won a game and achieved your first victory, which is already a great achievement. Congratulations to the Emperor Haishan. Jianglan Divine Kingdom is truly a hidden dragon and a crouching tiger." Divine Monk Yuhao saw that his side was defeated, but he still smiled, as if he was not worried that his side would lose at all. Of course, it may also be because he felt that Kuhai Temple could afford to lose, so he did not care about winning or losing in this game. After all, Kuhai Temple now has 2 Hidao tablets in hand. There is only one piece of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. The 2 situations are completely different. Xiao Jinan, are you here to fight me? The scholar holding the mountain ended up. His name was Han Zhang. He was the leader of a large organization in the Kuhai Temple. He was neither a sect nor a family. He was engaged in many aspects of business, including, but not limited to, taking on the killer business, intelligence business. Although I'm not sure, I still have to go all out for this one. Xiao Jinan came off the stage and looked at Han Zhang. The 2 of them were old acquaintances. Next, the 2 of them fought. In less than 30 moves, Xiao Jinan was defeated by Han Zhang, but Han Zhang was unscathed and could still fight again. Follow closely. Hong Dongchuan ends. He narrowly defeated Han Zhang, but he was also injured and could no longer fight. At this point, Jianglan Divine Kingdom fell into a disadvantage. In Jianglan Divine Kingdom, only Duan Lingtian and Jiang Haishan are left to fight. As for the Bitter Sea Temple, there are still 3 people left to fight. Call! A figure entered the scene. It was the white-haired old man holding a cane. The old man had a thin face, and his originally cloudy eyes shot out a cold light. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said in a calm tone, "I heard that you, Duan Lingtian, once easily defeated Hong Dongchuan. Today, let me, my boss, teach you your methods." Duan Lingtian raised his eyebrows when he heard this, but did not make any move. Call! A figure entered the scene. In addition to Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan, the entire audience was shocked, including Xiao Jinan and Hua Ruo from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, just because the person who ended up was none other than Jiang Haishan. This is the 9th level of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Chapter 46-79. Except for Jiang Haishan himself, Duan Lingtian and Hong Dongchuan, no one expected Jiang Haishan to end at this time. They all felt that Jiang Haishan, as the strongest 9-level entrant in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, should not end up now. Is it possible that the Emperor knows that Duan Lingtian is not this old opponent? So, do you think there is no need for him to end? In Jianglan Divine Kingdom, both Xiao Jinan and Hua Ruo think so now. Over at the Kuhai Temple, several people led by Divine Monk Yuhao are actually confused now. What's happening here? Why did Jiang Haishan end up entering the 9th level and ending up so quickly? The old man holding the crutch couldn't help but frown at this time, and then his eyes fell on Duan Lingtian like lightning, and he said in a deep voice, "Duan Lingtian, you think you are no match for me, so you are dismissed. Courage is there's none?" Although his strength is considered relatively strong among the 8th level, he still thinks that he cannot compare with the 9th level. With Jiang Haishan at his end, he could only admit defeat and there was no need to take action. When Duan Lingtian heard the boss calling him, his eyes turned to him, and he smiled lightly and said, "If you feel this way, that's fine. Just be happy." Hearing this, the old man's face darkened. What else? Is it possible that you can be stronger than Prince Jiang Haishan? Guessed it right, but there's no prize. Duan Lingtian glanced at the elder in surprise, but he didn't expect that the other party was not stupid enough to guess this. As Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Tui, the black-robed and bald man at the Kuhai temple, couldn't help but laugh out loud. Duan Lingtian, what are you pretending to be here? Do you really think that we don't know your details? Some time ago, didn't you just compete with Hong Dongchuan in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and beat him? Your strength is pretty good at the 8th level of the Tao, but if you want to compare with me, you're not up to par. You don't dare to end now. Don't you have self-awareness and know that you are not an old opponent? When the words fell, Tui's face was filled with a sarcastic smile. Duan Lingtian smiled, his eyes falling on Tui with disdain. They say ugly people tend to make mischief. In my opinion, losers also like to talk too much. One sentence made Tui furious and angrily asked, "Who do you think is a waste?" "Talking to you," Duan Lingtian smiled. "Otherwise, who do you think you're talking about?" "You dash!" Tui was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He could imagine that Duan Lingtian was stronger than him, so in the end he could only suppress the anger in his heart. His body was shaking violently, but he did not dare to take action. At this time, Divine Monk Yuhao came to his rescue. "Tui, how Jianglan Divine Kingdom arranges it is Jianglan Divine Kingdom's business, and neither you nor the elder should have any say in it." After he finished speaking, he looked at the old man with a cane and said, "Boss, since Emperor Jiang Haishan is going to die, personally, you should just admit defeat." "Yes, holy monk." The old man on crutches responded respectfully and then retreated. He had no intention of fighting by Haishan, because fighting was just looking for abuse, and there was no way to help the 2 people behind to consume by Haishan's strength, because the gap was too big. Just when everyone in Jianglan Divine Kingdom, including Duan Lingtian, thought that at Kuhai Temple, Divine Monk Yuhao would end up in person. But he didn't expect that he would not end up. But another monk ended up. "Prince Haishan, let this young monk learn your clever tricks." The one who is going to die now is none other than another middle-aged monk who has been standing behind the Divine Monk Yuhao and has no sense of presence. Duan Lingtian also just came from Hong Dongchuan, learned from his mouth that the other party was a member of the main temple of Kuhai Temple, a strong person who has entered the 8th level. According to Hong Dongchuan, in terms of strength, he should be slightly inferior to Lao Lao. But now he has stood up. For a moment, not only Duan Lingtian was a little surprised, but even other people in Jianglan Divine Kingdom were also shocked. Jiang Haishan's pupils shrank slightly, and he took a deep look at the middle-aged monk in front of him. "It seems that now I should call you Baiyan Divine Monk." He naturally knew this monk named Baiyan. The duel, 1,000 years ago, was only at the 8th level of the Tao. His strength was comparable to Hong Dongquin's, and the 2 ended in a draw. Thousands of years later, he came down again and faced him. Where does the courage come from? Even the boss, who he originally thought was stronger than Baiyan, backed down when facing him, but he ended up. What does it mean? It means that he must have entered the 9th level of the Tao. Monk Yuhao, your Kuhai temple is really keeping things secret. First there's an old man, and then there was the Baiyan divine monk. Jiang Haishan looked at divine monk Yuhao and sighed with a complicated expression. If Duan Lingtian had not entered the 9th level, even if Duan Lingtian took action this time, their Jianglan Divine Kingdom would definitely be defeated. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian has already entered the 9th level and is stronger than him. Therefore, this time their Jianglan Kingdom is still stable. Next, during the battle between Jiang Haishan and Baiyan Divine Monk, Duan Lingtian and others watched from a distance. The fight caused the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. The terrifying power of entering the 9th level of the Tao, combined with the Tao they mastered, was extremely powerful. Every time an offensive was launched, the sky was blocked and the sun was blocked. Momentum force. So hard. Do you want to hurt Jiang Haishan? Soon, Duan Lingtian saw the clues. Although the Baiyan divine monk and Jiang Haishan were both at the 9th level, their strength was obviously inferior, and he could not be Jiang Haishan's opponent. And even under this situation, he still had a desperate style of play, which greatly increased the pressure on Jiang Haishan. In the end, he was defeated by Jiang Haishan, but Jiang Haishan was also injured. He spurted 3 big mouthfuls of blood, and his breath became weak. On the other hand, the Baiyan divine monk was even worse. His sternum was sunken, his face was pale, and he was covered in blood. His body was shaky, as if he might collapse at any time. If divine monk Yu Hao hadn't admitted defeat, his life would have been in danger if the fight continued. Monk Baiyan is really hardworking. Jiang Haishan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, glanced at the Baiyan monk, who was supported by Han Zheng and Tui, and smiled coldly. "I'm not as good as Emperor Haishan." Although the White Rock priest's face was covered with blood, he still had a smile on his face, which was so creepy that it made people stand on end. "Prince Haishan, it's our turn." Divine monk Yu Hao had no intention of letting Jiang Haishan rest, and left the game directly. At this moment, everyone present at the Kuhai Temple, including monk Yu Hao himself, felt that this time the Enter Dao showdown was stable, and their Kuhai Temple would win again. After hearing what monk Yu Hao said, Jiang Haishan shook his head and smiled, then retreated away from the battle. "Monk Yu Hao, your opponent is not me." Almost at the moment Jiang Haishan finished speaking, a purple figure, Feng Su, came from the wind and entered the battle, confronting monk Yu Hao with calm eyes. "And stand." Chapter 4680. Divine monk Yu Hao was dressed in a black monk's robe that moved with the wind. His benevolent brows revealed a bit of majesty, but at the moment he was staring at the young man in purple who was confronting him, and he couldn't help but have a look of astonishment on his face, just because this was a scene he never expected. He originally thought that the anti-divine sword Duan Lingtian, who had caused quite a storm in Jianglan Divine Kingdom some time ago, was an 8th-level existence, more powerful than Hong Dongchuan. The trump card he found this time, Lao Lao, was enough to easily deal with it. When Lao Lao came off the field and prepared to fight him, but he didn't come off, he just thought it was because he was not sure of defeating Lao Lao. But I didn't expect that the other party would end at this time. Although being the boss is his trump card, it is only the first small trump card. The biggest trump card is the second person who has been promoted to the 9th level of the main temple of Kuhai Temple, that is the White Rock Divine Monk. Jiang Haishan's strength is not weak. Even though he was lucky enough to defeat Jiang Haishan 1,000 years ago, he doesn't think he can safely defeat Jiang Haishan this time, because over the millennia, his improvement has been minimal. Therefore, he planned to let Divine Monk Baiyan use all his strength to injure Jiang Haishan, so that Jiang Haishan would not pose a threat to him. Now, Baiyan Divine Monk has lived up to expectations and wounded Jiang Haishan. He had already expected that in the next scene, either Jiang Haishan would admit defeat, or he would defeat the injured Jiang Haishan. However, he never expected that when Jiang Haishan gave up the fight with him, Duan Lingtian from Jianglan Divine Kingdom, who he thought had given up, would end up facing him. At this moment, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. How can this be? You actually let him face monk Yu Hao. At this moment, not only divine monk Yu Hao himself, but also the other 4 people at the Kuhai Temple were looking at Duan Lingtian with shock and suspicion, and waves of turmoil arose in their hearts. Even Xiao Jinan and Hua Ruo from Jianglan Divine Kingdom looked horrified at this time. What's happening here? In fact, just now Xiao Jinan and Hua Ruo were very puzzled that Duan Lingtian did not end up fighting against the boss. Until now, their hearts were shaken, and a crazy thought vaguely arose. It turns out that this piece of Lingtian wasn't a trump card used by Emperor Jing Haishan to deal with the elders at the Kuhai Temple? Is it used to deal with Divine Monk Yu Hao? It's just that I'm blind. Divine Monk Yu Hao took a deep look at Duan Lingtian and said, It seems that your anti-sword sword has entered the 9th level of the Tao in recent days. As soon as he opened his mouth, he called Duan Lingtian by his name. It was obvious that he already knew about Duan Lingshan's existence. Please give me some advice from the holy monk. Duan Lingtian smiled indifferently. His eyes were calm and unruffled. On the other hand, Jiang Haishan, although he was injured and looked slightly pale, there was a smile on his lips. Prince Haishan is very confident. Is it possible that the strength of this anti-sword sword after he enters the 9th level of the Tao will put even you, Emperor Haishan, to shame? Divine Monk Yuhao saw the smile on Jiang Haishan's lips, looked at him deeply, and asked tentatively. Jiang Haishan shook his head and smiled. Monk Yuhao, you don't need to test me. How strong is Duan Lingtian? You'll know if you try it? But secretly slandering in my heart. Fortunately, it was just a discussion. Otherwise, you will die if you try. Then let me learn how to use the anti-god sword. Divine Monk Yuhao let out a soft drink, and the black monk's robes on his body shook, and the power that had been prepared for a long time was released. In the blink of an eye, the whole person continued to grow and collide, and finally turned into a giant as towering as a mountain. This is also the path that Monk Yuhao majors in, the path of giants. This kind of Tao, Yuhao Divine Monk, has already understood the 9th level, and it is with the help of the giant Tao that he has entered the 9th level of the Tao. Boom! Boom! After the body of Divine Monk Yuhao grew larger, the power in his body vibrated and spread out, seemingly endlessly. The infinite way. Moreover, it is the infinite path of the 7th level. Duan Lingtian is very familiar with this kind of aura. Not only that, after the infinite way appeared, the power in the hands of Divine Monk Yuhao condensed into a long stick like the Dinghai Divine Needle. There was a faint halo flowing around the long stick, exuding a rich and domineering aura. This is also the 3rd way mastered by Divine Monk Yuhao. Stick Road. Moreover, he has already realized the 6th level. Boom! There was a loud noise, and Divine Monk Yuhao took the lead to take action. His momentum was like a rainbow, and he rushed out in the void. The figure that covered the sky and the sun rushed towards Duan Lingtian with a mighty momentum. The long stick in his hand vibrated, and there was a continuous sound of explosions. Fear the aftermath of its power rages across all directions. His move immediately made the onlookers present except Jiang Haishan look solemn, and they all gathered their strength to resist the aftermath of the attack. After all, this is a super strong person who has entered the 9th level. If you can't get along, the experts at this level are the most tyrannical. And the other side, facing the menacing Divine Monk Yuhao, Duan Lingtian looked calm and raised his hand casually. In an instant, the power from the 9th level of the Tao roared into the sky and soon condensed into a giant sword in the sky. The power around the giant sword vibrated endlessly, giving people a feeling that it was more majestic than the infinite power of the Monk Yuhao. This piece of Lingshan's infinite way is stronger than the 7th level infinite way of Monk Yuhao. Several people at the Bitter Sea Temple were shocked, and as Duan Lingshan's condensed giant sword of the sky fell, the void shook again, as if a faint shadow could be vaguely seen, as if it could control all things, pushing the giant sword to crush it and fall, facing the menacing attack. Monk Yuhao, call out! The giant sword of the sky crashed down and collided with the giant stick in the hand of the Monk Yuhao. After a brief stalemate, waves of terrifying power erupted and raged, creating endless winds. Boom! With a loud noise, the giant sword in the sky was vibrating with an indomitable momentum, as if it was invincible. The pressure made the face of the divine Monk Yuhao change greatly and then turn pale. Then the giant stick in his hand was crushed and shattered, and the whole sword was crushed. People were also blown away. Wow, dash! Divine Monk Yuhao flew out upside down, opened his mouth, and spat out a mouthful of rich blood. Halfway through, his huge body no longer appeared, replaced by his original normal figure. Apparently 3 of them were broken by Duan Lingshan's sword. In the duel at the 9th level of the Dao, 1 sword shattered 3 Dao, complete crushing, different from the injured and embarrassed monk Yu Hao. On the other side, a young man in purple stood there, holding a slightly dim sky sword, his face unchanged, his eyes indifferent, as if he had just done something insignificant. Matter. This level of disparity in strength does not apply to others. Even Jiang Haishan and Hong Dongchuan, who knew that Duan Lingtian was very powerful, couldn't help but gasp. His strength has become stronger again. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.